Now this is an intriguing scene. I'm looking at these grasses that have the plumes on them, and I'm very fascinated by the way they appear when they're backlit, like what we have here. So we determined that that's what we want our subject to be. So now let's think in terms of how we want to photograph these. There's a couple different approaches that we could take to this. We could try and photograph the whole group of them as we see them here, or maybe we could focus on individual items. Maybe we should do a close-up of just one particular area of them. If we do that, then what becomes our background? Okay, do we pick over here on the right? We have a group of these grasses with their plumes, and if we chose that one, we have a really nice dark background behind it that would help contrast the darkness of the lightness of the plumes against the darkness of the background. One of the other things that kind of attracts me to this particular thing is the backlighting and the green that we're getting as the light as it comes through the grass itself. And so that's rather interesting too. So we're just going to kind of explore this scene just a little bit, and we're going to try and figure out exactly how we want to photograph this so that we can bring this whole thing to life. After looking at a couple different compositions and combinations, I decided I really like this group in front of me the best. It allows me to get some of the backlighting of the green grass, as well as getting some nice detail on the plumes, and then using some out-of-focus plumes behind it as our background. It makes for a rather interesting image if we keep our depth of field short so that the plumes in the background are not in focus. We don't want them to be in focus because otherwise they're very distracting back there. So we're going to use a longer lens so that all we have is just a small portion of the background in the scene. If we used a wide-angle lens, then we would be picking up the trail and the trees and some other things. So we're going to use a longer lens so that we can isolate just a piece of the background, and also so that we can keep our depth of field short. Now this situation poses a little bit of an issue in terms of exposure, because we have bright light coming in from behind the camera and we have light on the front of the camera, and what we really need is kind of a compromise exposure between the two. In that situation, we may actually have to experiment looking at our histograms to see where we can keep the most detail in the plumes of the grass while still maintaining some detail in the shadow areas.